All right, so we are on the final stages of these cards. We are finally on the neutrals. So, looking at all these cards here, if you're watching this, then the actual set comes out April 9th, and it's going to be coming out soon. So, let's kind of dissect and look over these neutral cards real quick before this comes out. And hopefully, you're taking a look at this before it comes out so you can get your own opinion on things. But anyway, so looking at all these cards, neutral cards, we did all the class cards previously. If you haven't been here for that, definitely check out the previous videos. But here we're going to look at all the neutrals. So before we begin, just kind of overviewing a few things. I'm actually disappointed by the legendaries. I mean, we've had all kinds of different cards in the past and past sets, but this set, I don't know. It's just these legendaries are kind of like meh in comparison. So let's take a look one final time in the Hearthstone at some previous ones. And I decided to look at some of the legendaries. Let's make sure go into crafting mode. All right. So on Goro, these are the cards we're missing out. So some notable ones were at least the Trailblazer. Get your Ungoro pack. That was good. And Spirit Singer Umbra was good with the Death Rattles. That's going by. And even him at Jungle Hunter, he didn't really see a lot of play in the beginning, but after time went on, he was really good at thinning out your deck, especially when you had Mechathune came around. And he was really good on the Mechathune Priest. They used him a lot. So he kind of was like situational, but still he was something. Frozen Throne. We say goodbye to the Lich King, one of the top legendaries or cards in the game, really. Not to mention Prince Keliseth. He alone basically affected a lot of decks. So he's going to go by. And let's see. And then finally, Kobolds. I mean, I played a lot of Zola, especially in different ways you get your cards back with Amara. Togwaggle was played. Master Oakheart was played. So, I mean, there was plenty of cards that were played. It's just, you look at these and how they kind of affected the meta as time went on. And yeah, this is a new set, so we don't really know for sure how these cards are going to come out. But to me, they seem a little underwhelming. Now, of course, right now, in this current meta, you're able to play Archmage Vargoth. So what he does is he's a 4-mana 2/6. At the end of your turn, cast a spell you've cast this turn. So he kind of recasts spells. Of course, they're random. So within this current meta, I think the top decks that are really using them right now, it's only a couple of days, but in this couple of day meta, we have Priest, Resurrect Priest, and able to get multiple Vargoths, and then you have Druid, able to get multiple spells off. You know, you experiment with other ones as well, but Priest, I believe, is the easiest way in order to bring Vargoth's power to bear. So, and if you didn't know, essentially before before the game was released for a couple of days, they gave us Archmage Vargoth for free. So before the cards kind of got phased out, we're, playing with Vargoth just to kind of see how he is. And with the cards that currently in rotation, he's kind of broken. But it's only a couple of days, so it's more of a fun thing anyway. So let's go over these legendaries first. You got 8 mana 6/6, Geppetto Joybuzz, Battle Cry. Draw 2 minions from your deck. Set their attack, health, and cost to 1. I mean, I see that being situational. Of course, a lot of cards and legendaries end up being situational. And, you want to play around them. Geppetto, I'm sure people are going to probably play him. And biggest thing that sets out is Warlock with Plot Twist. And or the fact that you can bring out some important cards out and such. Otherwise, I mean, he's going to be situational. It really is. So whether or not if that situation is good, and the fact that you have a lot of cards that can benefit from the, like, for example, the battle cry, death rattle, more so than the fact that they're going to be ones. I don't know. We'll see how Geppetto goes. Next, you got 8 mana, 7/7 Archivist Elisina. Yeah, I know I definitely crucified that, but whatever. Battle cry, discover 5 cards. Replace your deck with 2 copies of each. Now, this is an interesting effect, and I actually like it. The key is it going to be viable? She's definitely want to put in your control decks, so then that way she's almost like the final card you play, because it's going to replace your deck with these 10 cards. So, of course, you definitely don't want to do it in the beginning. But, of course, Rogue comes to mind. Going through your deck real quickly. And also any controlled decks like Warrior or Priest. It just, of course, depends. You definitely have to make sure those cards, those 10 cards, are going to win you the game. But it's almost as if very reminiscent of Elise with Ungoro pack. Because a lot of times with the Ungoro pack, you may want to pop it early, as long as you had space in your hand to use it. And a lot of times those extra cards can kind of help you towards winning the game. The key is that this actually is more of, instead of your hand the card's going to, is your deck. And it's replacing your deck. So you always got to be careful of that. Let's see here. I can turn the volume back on this. So, as far as legendaries, of course, now looking at aspect, the meta and everything hasn't shifted or started. So these are going to be really situational. So with the final 2, you got 7 mana, 6/6 Chef Nomi. Battle cry: if your deck is empty, like no cards, summon 6/6s. Grease Fire Elementals. So he pops down and then he has these 6/6s next to him. So, yeah, of course, if you haven't played WoW, you wouldn't know the actual flavor or how this guy works. But Chef Nomi is basically someone that, as you can see in the background, he's like things on fire. Basically burns everything. And but if you're strictly Hearthstone, you wouldn't know that. Hearthstone player, I should say. He, yet again, is almost like Elisina, end of game type. Rogue, of course, going through their whole deck, maybe use something of this nature. They're both situational. Out of the 2, it's like this one is a direct effect, the fact that he's on the board and brings out the 6/6s, while she's more of a effect that will go in your deck. Now, technically, you don't have to wait until the very end with her, because yes, it's replacing your deck, but if you know your rest of your deck are cards that you don't need, you can kind of plop her down for it. While Chef Nomi, you have no choice but to wait until your deck is empty before you can play him. And the problem is waiting until the very end of the game before you can even play this guy. That's where he's the weakest. But, at the very end, plopping down that 6/6s kind of will help you out. It's very reminiscent of the mage. Let's see, I can bring it out here. Dragoncaller Alana, where if you played a lot of spells, you summon 5/5s next to her. The only thing that really helped Dragoncaller was the fact that you also had your legendary hero card, which is Frostlich Jaina. So you would have Frostlich Jaina carry you basically for the rest of the game until the very end, and then you can plop this down if you use a lot of spells, and it was one more thing with the enemy to deal with. Jaina's rotated out now, of course with Dragoncaller as well, but what type of world would we have lived in if there wasn't Frostlich Jaina to kind of control you to the end of the game? While here, we don't have all that. So with Chef Nomi right now, he's going to be experimenting with, but it's going to be hard to kind of play him with everything else that we got going on here. All right, so next, let me increase the volume a little bit. All right, so next we have the last one, Barista Lynchen. 5 mana, 4/5 battle cry. Add a copy of each of your other battle cry minions to your hand. So this is the biggest direct effect is almost like a Zola. So of course, when you played Zola on a minion, it would create a copy or golden copy in your hand. This one is going to copy your cards that's on your field, except it's only going to be battle cry ones. So of course, you're kind of going to play it and direct it to be battle cry. Yet, of all the legendaries, I think she's going to be toyed with a lot more. Of course, you're going to Vargoth and a few others going to be toyed with, but if you have a deck that has a lot of battle cries and their battle cry effects that you like to do over and over again, she's going to be also a good addition to your deck. And being the fact that she's a 4/5 herself is not bad at all, and 5 costs really isn't that bad. The biggest issue is the fact that, of course, you got to have minions on the board. You got to have a board. I mean, I guess you can copy maybe 1 or 2, but you didn't put her in your deck to copy 1 or 2 minions. You put her in your deck to copy a lot more than that. So it's getting that effect off. And of course, definitely watch your Battlecry minions and take note of what you have, so that in the future editions, when we get some really good Battlecries as well, she'll be a good asset. So like I said, for legendaries in this set, I mean, they're okay, but nothing like, I don't know, nothing that pops out at you like some previous expansions. But yet again, this is the first expansion in the Year of the Dragon, so I'm sure as time goes on, we'll get some more legendaries that probably have a pretty good effect on the meta, even from day one. All right. Next, we got Big Bad Archmage, 10 mana, 6/6. At the end of your turn, summon a random 6-cost minion. It's going to feel real bad playing this guy at 10. Only for him to, I mean, he's going to come down himself and then play another minion. But it's going to feel really bad if you got a 6-drop that is really like low in stats or doesn't have some direct effect on it. Of course, he'll be a good minion to kind of, bring out early. For example, if on Shaman you have Muck Morpher, he will probably be a good one in order to Muck Morph. So then that way, for 5, you got the effect early that can draw out. He shifts into that and then draws out another 6 costs. But for 10, playing him by himself, you're going to feel real bad. All right, next we got 8 mana, 3/12, Batterhead. Rush. After this minion attacks and kills a minion, it may attack again. So, like I was talking about an earlier video, I'm a I really like Lady in White. So anything that has a lot of health and low attack, I'm always looking at just in case. So this one being Rush, I mean, that would be nice, having a Rush 12/12. But being with 8 mana, I'm definitely not going to have 2 of them in my deck. And, you know, I know as well as anybody else, Lady in White's more of a meme deck anyway. But I don't, mind trying it out, seeing what I can do. But on his own, of course, if anything, you may want to use him in your warrior deck with the fact that you have Rush. If you're going to have some previous, a Rush theme going on. I mean, it's nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's almost like a Wind Fury effect with the fact that as long as he kills something. Now, granted, you're not going to want to play him unless he's able to kill something with only 3 attack. But I mean, you're going to make sure that the board is low enough to where he comes in and at least, kills off two or so minions, if he's even in your deck. So I see this being a very strong arena card as well. All right, next, 8 mana 6/6, Whirlwind Tempest. Your minions with Wind Fury have Mega Wind Fury. So things like Shaman up here has some interesting Wind Fury, Walking Fountain. The fact that, he's almost like Alec here, and then you play this, he's going to have Mega Wind Fury. So it's going to be situational. He's 8 costs, so he costs a whole lot. So you just got to make sure your Wind Fury minions are on the board and can actually do something. But I can see him being included in that Shaman deck. If you're going to have Walking Fountain in your deck, even though it's 8 cost, you're more than likely going to have this another 8 cost Whirlwind Tempest. Only for the fact that if anything survives the Whirlwind guys from the next turn, for whatever reason they weren't able to kill it off, they must fear the fact that you may have this in your deck. Because the fact that it doesn't just do it 2 times, but Mega Wind Fury allows you to keep doing the 4 times attack on anything, you got to be mindful of that. All right, so Unseen Saboteur. Battlecry. Your opponent casts a spell from their hand. Targets chosen randomly. So this guy is... I really like him with the fact that he's disruptive. Like 6 cost, 5/6. I mean, his body itself is not that bad. And the fact that he can kind of disrupt whatever your opponent had planned. Now, of course, if you're playing, for example, against a Paladin, a lot of times these spells might be something that benefit you more than hurt you. Because you got to remember, they're all buff cards. So just because he plays a spell, he might buff up your minion, like an empty board, and play this Unseen Saboteur and ends up buffing him when, of course, he didn't plan on buffing your minion. He planned on buffing a future minion of his own. So it's not only the fact that it could be a spell that destroys something, but anything that allows you to disrupt your opponent is very strong, especially, for example, you have priests that with Madame Lazul able to see the cards, at least 3 of the cards that's in this hand. Things like that gives you the knowledge, just the knowledge alone of what they could be doing can benefit you in things like Saboteur. But even if you don't know what they're playing, the fact that you allow them, I mean, for example, you play him and you're against Mage and they Flame Strike. Okay. I mean, they ended up Flame Striking your minion, yes. But, of course, the fact that they use that Flame Strike on an off turn. Now, this is based on the fact that you don't have minions on your side of the field. Because definitely that would be bad if you have a full board and you end up Flame Striking and help him out. But you just never know. So, I look forward to this card. This is probably a good tech card for the future. And so, yeah, definitely look forward to this one. All right, 6 mana, 5/6. Portal Overfiend. Battlecry. Shuffle 3 portals into your deck. When drawn, summon a 2/2 demon with Rush. Now, it's interesting that this is neutral. The same, there's another one here. Portal Keeper has the same effect. It's just that this one's a 4 cost 5/2. Well, this one's a 6 cost 5/6. So they both do the same thing. And if you haven't noticed, this is 6 and that one's 4. So it still adds up to 10. The fact that it's not like a Warlock specific card when, of course, has the kind of the Warlock theme to it, especially when we have plot twists coming around and getting all these demons on the 2/2 demons and stuff with Rush granted on the field, is definitely going to be in a Warlock class. But maybe in the future we'll have something that allows us to bring out a lot of cards. Of course, we have it like with Rogue, and the fact they're able to destroy their deck and it's going to bring out those cards. So I can see that being in Rogue as well. But maybe in the future we'll have some effect that allow us to pull things quicker other than Warlock or Rogue. And maybe that's why they put it in more of a neutral stance than specifically Warlock. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, 2/2 Demon with Rush. Of course, demons in neutral class are not as prevalent as the Warlock class, but we'll see what the future brings us. Overall, these cards, they're okay. But for right now, the biggest decks that they're probably in is going to be either Warlock that draws cards quickly or Rogue that's able to go through your deck quickly. Next, we have 5 mana 2/7 Azurite Elemental. At the start of your turn, gain +2 spell damage. Mainly a pack filler. I mean, the only things that really benefit from spell damage more so than anything else is going to be Mage, maybe Hunter, the way they're trying to get this spell damage thing going on with Hunter. But, I mean, it has a lot of health, so it's able to survive. So, of course, Priest is going to look at that with healing, keeping it around. But honestly, with Priest, there's really nothing direct damage that you want to use it for. Because you got to remember, once you play it, it's not until the beginning of your next turn that it gets +2 spell damage. Now, granted, if it stays around, it's going to be monstrous amount of spell damage, but I say it's Arena card more than anything. Because Arena, you're going to have some spells that can do damage, direct things, and the fact that with 7 health, it can survive to at least the next turn. But overall, constructed, you're definitely going to put something better in your deck. Next, 4 mana 3/3 Hinch Clan Hag. Battle Cry. Summon 2 1/1 amalgams with all minion types. So amalgams are basically everything. So this one I could see as not only like a zoo type card with Warlock, but also with Shaman and all these things that where it matters what you have on the field that can buff. For example, Shaman with the Murlocs. Dragons wouldn't really be good because it summons it on the field. But the fact is, amalgams they could be anything. So anything that has a effect like, okay, there's elemental on your field, this is going to give you said bonus. Of course, definitely look at it for Arena. Pack filler kind of. The fact that it's a 4 mana and it summons 2. So it's almost like a 4 mana 5/5. And that's really nothing to scoff at. Especially when it gives you stuff that, for example, if you're in Warlock, there's a lot of Warlock cards that destroy things, like Evil Genius. Destroy one of the amalgams, and then you end up getting more lackeys. So, yeah. Very interesting. Very something to look at in the future. 3 mana 1/6 Magic Carpet. After you play a 1-cost minion, give it +1 attack and rush. I mean, the fact is, you play this on 3, and then you got to play 1-cost minions afterward. And then those 1-cost minions have +1 attack and rush. At 1 cost, they're really not going to be really worth it. Honestly, I mean, this is not good at the moment, but maybe in the future it'll be good. Another Arena card. Which is a shame in the fact that it's an epic card, but whatever. Alright, next. 7 mana 3/7 Tunnel Blaster. Taunt. Death Rattle. Deal 3 damage to all minions. So, Taunt. It's the type of thing that basically is defensive. So, of course, when it gets destroyed, it does 3 to everything on the field. Kind of like Abomination, but Abomination was 4 health and does 2 to everything. This one has a lot of health and does 3 to everything. I guess if he was going to be played in anything, I could see him played more so in Priest with the fact that you can keep him alive and the fact that it's something that your enemy has to go through. But Priest already has, what's this one? The Convincing Infiltrator, which outright destroys things that, and it doesn't cost as much. This one is 5 mana and this one's 7. So, yet again, I think he's going to be more of I'm sure he's going to be super awesome in Arena. But Constructed, you're more than likely going to have other cards that's better than it. 7 mana 3/5 Underbelly Ooze. After this minion survives damage, summon a copy of it. Another pack filler. Essentially, if it is able to survive, you're able to like powered shield, give it health, do something of that nature. You just summon a copy of it, but the copy is already damaged. He just costs way too much. I mean, if he was cheaper, then definitely doing damage to it like Mage, be able to get more and more and more copies to kind of fill their board, but there's no point. 7 mana 5/8 Exotic Mount Seller. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 3-cost beast. So the beast that can come from this, I mean, it's great that it actually brings out another creature whenever you cast a spell, because there's some cheap spells out there, especially when the fact that she's 7 mana. But the fact that it's just 3-cost beast, I mean, the biggest minion I believe has been stated to be Mukla. You know, if Mukla was able to come out, let's see here. So let's look at all the cards. So, of course, you can bring out any of these. Now, a lot of these are phasing out, so... Yep. So, let's see what you're really looking for. Blink Fox, I mean, with it being summoned, you're not really worried about it. So, Emperor Cobra, probably a good thing. Alec, if you got it, you want it planned around it, that's phasing out. Jungle Panther wouldn't be bad. Mukla is definitely going to be the best one because it's a battle cry. So if she summons a 5/5 Mukla on it, you're definitely happy about that. I mean, Taurus is okay. Basilisk is going away. And so is Fledgling. So honestly, there's not a lot of beasts out there. I mean, Jungle Panther will stay alive unless they have spells. Mukla is highest body. Emperor Cobra, maybe to poisonous and kill something. But the fact that she's 7 costs and only brings out a small amount of stuff, you definitely probably want it in Arena more than Constructed. Alright. 6 mana, 4/4 Mad Summoner. Battle cry for each player's board. I'm sorry. Fill each player's board with 1/1 imps. Yeah. Why? It's unless you have. I mean, you can plan around and make sure you have a spell to clear the enemy's board. But the fact is, when you play this, like say you're on 6 and you play this, is your opponent that has the advantage afterwards. Because he has a board full of 1/1s that he can use in any way possible, while you just have minions that just got summoned. So it's more of a helping your opponent than you, unless you have a way to clear the board. So, yeah. 5 mana 4/4 Sun Reaver War Mage. If you're holding a spell that costs 5 or more, deal 4 damage. Okay, I mean, if Mage would probably be best thing. Warrior, maybe. If you're holding Dimensional Ripper, and as another thing that can deal damage on the board. Just not that exciting or good. 5 mana 3/6 Recurring Villain. Death Rattle. If this minion has 4 or more attack, resummon it. So when I saw this, I instantly thought of my Lady in White deck with the fact that it'd be a 6/6. So then if being 6/6 is automatically going to bring out another one of it. Which in turn, if you're able to buff his damage, you can bring out more. Otherwise, if you have no means of upping its attack, don't even play it. Next, 4 mana 3/8 Hecklebot. Taunt. Battlecry, your opponent summons a minion from their deck. So, another disruptive card. This one, though, is cheaper. Instead of it being 6, it's 4. Has a lot of health. And it basically brings out a minion that someone wanted from their deck. So, being the fact that it draws it from their deck, and you have a means to destroy it, pretty good. Has a lot of allusions to previous cards like Dirty Rat and Death Lord. I mean, it's similar, but it's different yet in the same. So this guy is going to be a real good tech card along with Unseen Saboteur. So Saboteur is mainly for spells. This guy is mainly for minions. So you're definitely gonna see a lot of these in the meta, especially when if the meta gets heavy in a certain way. So all those one-turn kill decks that were out there are really prevalent. Might just be a lot weaker with these two. All right, so we already talked about Portal Keeper. It's kind of the same premise that I was talking about with Portal Overfiend. So next, 3 mana, 5/6, Arcane Watcher. Definitely overstated, but can't attack unless you have spell damage. So if you've seen this, you probably saw this card played in the Silence Priest and the demo videos that Blizzard had. And it looked amazing with the fact that, of course, it was able to be silenced and keep going. Especially with the fact that stats are 5/6 for 3 mana. That's really good. But, of course, if you don't play this in Silence Priest, you got to make sure you have spell damage of some sort. And honestly, outside of Silence Priest, unless they make some really good spell damage cards, don't even play them. Don't even worry about playing them. All right. Next, Spell Ward Jeweler. 3 mana, 3/4, Battle Cry. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers until your next turn. So when this was announced in one of the first few cards when the set was announced, and it's like, So your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So it blocks you basically survive for one more turn. At 3 costs, a 3 mana, 3/4, that's a good body. So it's kind of a good body with an upside, but it's a tech card. It really is a tech card. And it's hard to predict, especially when you have against those one-turn kill decks, when they're going to be able to kill you in that one turn. So you're going to be able to play this. Honestly, if that was the case, you might as well play something like Hecklebot or something that is really disruptive. But right now, oh, and I forgot to mention, Hecklebot, he also has he's the one card that has, I believe, 9 different intros and attack speeches. So it's going to be interesting to see what all he says and does as he heckles you. But as far as with Jeweler, I mean, it's going to be a tech card that's usable if the meta shifts to where you need to protect your body or protect your hero, for a certain turn. Next, 9 mana, 9/9, Burly Shovel Fist, Rush. Pack filler. I mean, that's really all it is. It's a 9/9 body with Rush. There's really not much more you can say to that. Add that to, if you want to add it, definitely Arena. But if you kind of wanted to do it for Warrior, with the Rush Warrior, but there's so many other Rush cards you can use that's cheaper, you might as well do that. 8 mana, 4/4, Heroic Innkeeper. Taunt. Battlecry, gain +2/+2 for each other friendly minion. So if you play this on the board, you have 6 other ones, so it's going to be a 16/16 at max. I mean, it's not bad, especially if you have Zoo or if you have a lot of minions on your side. But honestly, if you're at turn 8 and you're playing Zoo and you haven't won or close to winning, I mean, you don't really want this in your deck. So I can see this being played more of a minion-focused decks, maybe more mid-range. But yet again, I believe it's going to be more of a Arena card, because Arena is going to have that ability to have your minions stick on the board a little bit more so than Constructed. Unless you want to play it in Token Druid. I mean, that's, I guess, the biggest thing that I just thought of that could be helpful, but honestly, you probably can use the deck slot for something else. All right, 6 mana, 6/4, Eccentric Scribe, Death Rattle, summon 4, 1/1 Vengeful Scrolls. So this is kind of like a token aspect that summons, when he dies, 4 creatures. So I could see him in a more token druid aspect. Otherwise, yet again, he's kind of an arena card. Because arena is more of, like I said before, minion based fight for the board type. And the fact he brings out 4 minions to kind of after he dies. Otherwise, that's really about it at this moment in time in the game. Don't know for the future. We'll see how it goes. Next, 6 mana, 4/5, Safeguard, Taunt, Death Rattle, summon 0/5 Vault Safe with Taunt. So it's a mech that when it dies, it brings out another mech that's 0/5 that has Taunt. Very reminiscent of cards like Sludge Belcher, some of the other ones. Of course, it costs more than Sludge Belcher in the past. And the fact that his body brings out another 0/5. So you got to be careful with these mechs, because as Warrior, the hero class, Dr. Boom, can bring out these mechs in the future. It costs a lot, but I mean, it's double taunts to kind of protect you. So if the meta shifts into a zoo-like, I can see this being played a lot to kind of disrupt all those zoo minions that's out there and kind of save yourself to live to the next future turns. So look, I mean, and of course in the you have Ziliax that can pair up on this guy on either this one or even a 0/5 afterwards. So it's almost like you're guaranteed to have something to bring Ziliax on to make it something on the board. So like if this guy dies in a 0/5, you play Ziliax and it's something you can play immediately. Wouldn't be bad to see. But we'll see how it goes in the future. But I really do believe that this guy is going to be one that kind of halts aggro, keeps it at bay. So then that way you can survive to those later turns if you're more mid-range or control. All right, 6 mana, 4/7, Violet Warden, Taunt. You notice a lot of these cards have Taunt on it. Taunt, spell damage +1. I mean, okay, that's cool that his Taunt has a lot of health. I mean, has 7 health. Respectable damage as well. The fact that his spell damage is kind of like, all right. And yet again, like I was talking about Arcane Watcher, I mean, yeah, he'll be able to activate because of it, but this is 3 costs and that's a 6 cost. So maybe the spell damage should be versatile, but at 6, you can have some cheaper ways of doing spell damage and get away with it. And there's better taunts out here. I mean, honestly, this taunt is better than this taunt, because after this one dies, this is a 4/10. And this is a 4/7 with the upside of spell damage. Well, I'd rather have the upside of another taunt than to have upside of spell damage. All right, so moving on. 5 mana, 5/4, Dalaran Crusader. So it's a 5/4 Divine Shield. And yet again, another pack filler. Okay, it's 5 Divine Shields, so more likely will survive to the next turn. Or it's strictly Arena. Arena would be really good for this guy, honestly, because he has Divine Shield. He'll stay around and able to affect the board. Now that I think about it, is that a female? I mean, Well, anyway, 4 mana, 2/6, Proud Defender, Taunt, has +2 attack while you have no other minions. So of course your board's clear. It's a 4 mana, 4/6. Not bad. I mean, that's better than Yeti stats, and especially the fact that it's Taunt on top of it. And also while you have no other minions. So good way to bring into it. Yet again, I'll talk about it before. Lady in White. That would be a 6/6 with a +2. It'll be an 8/6 Taunt for 4. Looks nice in my book. So be interesting to look and see how those things work out. But it's protective body. It's good that it's a taunt, and it's good that it's a taunt and a catch-up mechanism if you have nothing on the board. But if you have nothing on the board and this is like later in the game and they have something, then you might be in trouble. All right, Soldier of Fortune, 4 mana, 5/6. Whenever Whenever this minion attacks, give your opponent a coin. Yeah, that's not good to do. I mean, unless you're trying to do some type of way of milling them and their cards, giving your opponent a coin where they can capitalize on bringing out a stronger minion earlier than you, that's not good to do. Honestly, don't pick up this card unless something in the future allows it to where they have, I mean, like I said, you want to mill them in some way. Don't even worry about it. All right, 4 mana, 1/6 Violet Spell Sword. Battle Cry, gain +1 attack for each spell in your hand. Now, that would be good, but you would be telling your opponent how many spells you have in your hand. So if they have the Saboteur card, Unseen Saboteur, and they're able to disrupt that, you're kind of letting them know what's going on in your hand, especially if you play it and it's just a regular 1/6, then they're going to know, oh, you have no spells. Unless you're spell heavy, I would just turn away from it and get something better. All right. 4 mana, 3/2 Traveling Healer. Divine Shield. Battle Cry, restore 3 health. So this will definitely be good in a arena because it has healing and it has Divine Shield and a Battle Cry with a heal. It's maybe one costed more for that effect because, you know, we have 3 mana 3/2s all the time, but the 4 mana 3/2 with Divine Shield is going to stick around for at least a turn more. And the fact that it's Divine Shield on a 2 health minion, that's good, but honestly, it's more of arena aspect than anything else. Next, Hinch Clan Sneak, 3 mana 3/3 Stealth. Standard pack filler, stealth, minion. Really nothing to it. Not even a keyword. So, moving on. 3 mana 3/4, good stats, Flight Master. Battle Cry, summon a 2/2 Griffin for each player. So, you have the added benefit of the fact that you have both this guy and a 2/2, but then you summon a 2/2 for your opponent. So on turn 3, if they have nothing on the board, they have a free 2/2 to you hoping attack into your 2/2, and you have this guy as an upside. But you got to be careful. They may have spells in order to buff their own 2/2 and do something with it, especially if you're playing against Paladin or some type of deck. For example, if you're playing against Warrior and they use that 2/2 to attack this guy or something better and then execute it. So definitely got to be careful with this guy, but honestly, I would reserve him more for, at this moment in time, Arena. Now, granted, he could be a good zoo card with the fact that it actually summons another token creature for you. So you always got to be careful with Zoo. Zoo is always going to be around with Warlock, so be mindful of that as we get into this next feature. All right, now this one, Faceless Rager, 3 mana 5/1. Battle Cry, copy a friendly minion's health. Now this guy I'm actually looking forward to. Of all the Ragers, he's probably going to be the most used because, yeah, all the Rager cards are like 5/1s in some form, or Agnum Rager, which is, opposite as a 1/5 because it's backwards. This guy's probably going to be the most used because he can copy the health of another friendly minion. Minions that come to mind or anything with taunt. You got priest cards that have a higher health minions in order to heal. So for 3, that's not bad at all. He'll be good for the late game. He'll be good for the early game. I mean, even if you had something that's 3 health, a 5/3 for 3 is not bad. Anything more than that with 4 or 5 health, I mean, shoot, a 3 mana 5/5, you can't scoff at that. So this guy's going to be interesting to see for the future, and I definitely believe he's going to be played and constructed. All right, so then we got 2 mana 1/1 Evil Cable Rat. Battle Cry, add a lackey to your hand. I mean, he's neutral, so you can kind of go into any deck, especially the rogue ones. That's lackey's going to be really important for Toggle Waggle. But I mean, it's a weak body. It really is. I'm paying. Basically, this guy, it's like I'm paying more for what I want. 2 mana for it to be a 1/1, adds a lackey. The lackey's already 1 cost on top of it. So I'm paying like 3 mana for a 1/1 and another 1/1 that does something. He just kind of costs too much. If this guy was a 1/1 for 1 that did a lackey, then we'll be talking. But he's 2, so moving right along. Next, 2 mana, 3/2, Spellbook Binder. Battlecry. If you have spell damage, draw a card. So some of these other cards that have spell damage of some sort, he's kind of like, oh yeah, if you got that, yeah, add 1 more card. Now granted, drawing a card is important, especially at 2, but you're not going to put this guy in your deck just because you have spell damage. It's definitely going to be arena type. It's a 3/2 as well, so it's going to die. But I will say the art's really cool. I mean, this is the most well-defined, good-looking gnome I've ever really seen. So, pretty cool art. Alright, 2 mana, 2/3, Sunreaver Spy. Battlecry, if you control its secret, gain +1/+1. So, of course, if you have a secret, it's going to be a 3/4 for 2. That's not bad at all, especially with the fact that we have Paladin that have 1 mana secrets. So, turn 1, play a secret. Turn 2, play this for 3/4. Hey, that's pretty good. Now, of course, the key is, will Secret Paladin actually be good? Now, that's another conversation, because it has, you're going to have your different secrets, and then you're going to have your legendary. Let's go here. You're going to have a legendary that allows your secrets to trigger twice, which, you know, like Never Surrender, that would be good to have, and it's 3 costs. So you can do turn 1 secret, turn 2 the spy, and turn 3 commander Risa on top of it. But the problem is they, if you didn't know, they Hall of Famed Divine Favor. So you're not able to, with Paladin, dump your hand and then regrow your hand. Otherwise, this would be very strong on top of everything else. So if you were to have a handful of secrets and use your secrets and you have no hand anymore, that's going to be a big issue for Paladin to look forward to in the future, to resolve in some way. All right. Next, 2 mana, 0/6, mana reserve. Oh, sorry, reservoir. Spell damage +1. Doesn't have taunt. Doesn't have anything like that. It's basically for a guy like this that gives you a card because you have spell damage, but move right along. 2 mana, 2/3, Dalaran Librarian. Battlecry, silence adjacent minions. I talked about this guy earlier in a previous video, especially when we're talking about Priest. If you saw the actually Blizzard event where they brought Silence Priest, looked really good. The fact that it silences adjacent minions, so here you can have more than just one guy, and for Priest you don't have to waste your 0 mana silence or anything of that nature. This guy will take care of for you with 2 minions. That's really good. Drawback, of course, I mean, even its stats are really good, but drawback, of course, is the fact that you're silencing a minion. So it's, unless you have it geared towards silencing certain things, you don't want to accidentally silence something important. So, yeah. That's really the only drawback, but otherwise, he's going to be in decks that you kind of gear towards silence. Next, Hinch Clan Hogsteed. 2 mana, 2/1, Rush, Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 Murloc. So, flavor-wise, I mean, it basically, the hog goes into something and then the guy jumps off, the Murloc jumps off of it. So, it's interesting because the fact is, it's almost like the Murloc 2 mana charge. This case is Rush, so it's almost like a spell, really. So it has a direct effect where it hits something and then brings out a 1/1. So it's almost like a spell that does damage, summon a 1/1 creature of some sort. So I could really see this guy being prevalent in Zoo, especially because then it has Rush, does something on the board, and you at least still have a minion afterwards. So it's a favorable card, and you probably see it prevalent in both Constructed and Arena, especially in the beginning of this week as everyone's experimenting with decks. So he'll probably be in there, but if I had to guess, it will more likely be Zoo decks that he'll be prevalent in. All right, 2 mana, 2/3 Arcane Servant, or whatever. Just a vanilla 2/3. The only real thing about it is elemental. That's really it. Nothing much to it. I mean, if you have an elemental deck that matters, just okay, use that. Next, Potion Vendor. 1 mana, 1/1. Battle Cry. Restore 2 health to all friendly characters. I really, really think that this card right here is going to be used a lot. Maybe Zoo, Priest, whatever. The fact that it's so versatile, it's even if it doesn't heal your minions, it's a 1 mana 1/1 that heals your face for 2, which isn't a whole lot, but I mean, it's 1 cost. So I would not be surprised to see this used, oh Lord, in a lot of decks, especially as the year goes on, and because it has such a strong healing effect to everything. Yeah, this is gonna be a really good card. Finally, 1 mana 1/2 Toxfin. Battle Cry, give a friendly Murloc poisonous. So of course, Murloc decks, and especially the fact with the Shaman Murloc decks, it's a 1 cost that even has 2 health, which is nothing to scoff at, but really would be good for Underbelly Angler, able to bring out more Murlocs for cheap. So power through more and more Murlocs, and the fact that you're able to give Murloc poisonous. They kind of do something on the board if you go against something strong, especially taunts, to kind of keep going on your quote-unquote aggro Murloc quest. Not real quest, but quest and destroying stuff. So that's basically it as far as all the neutrals. We've gone through all the cards, guys, so pat yourself on the back and all that. There's really an interesting mix of cards this go around. I believe some decks have gotten it better than others. But otherwise, I'm really excited for what we got going on here. And really, as far as for, here it is, the beginning of Year of the Dragon. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting year. I mean, they've already kind of got more of a value-centric, if you will, expansion here with cards that kind of deal with 1-turn kill stuff. So they won't be as prevalent, and even if they are, there are ways against them. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how this expansion goes, or even future expansions as the year goes on, because it's going to be very interesting to see how they do. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me tonight. Thanks so much, guys, for checking out. And if you're on Twitch, do not forget to leave a follow. If you've been lurking, I understand. Do the same thing. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment below, like the video, and give me your opinions of what you think is good for this expansion. There's a few cards that I'm looking forward to. Potion Vendor, I think, is going to be really good. Like all the priest cards, and even decks that's not priest, it's going to have some interesting aspects to them. Rogue, I think, is kind of looking good. Priest is looking good. Some different cards are looking pretty good in different decks. So we'll see how it goes. So you guys enjoy yourself. Have fun with the new expansion. And I'll see you out there as I climb the ladder. And you guys take care and have a nice night. I'll see you later.